So how to create a mobile menu using the Bubble Slider menu plugin and using the option sets. This is AB Modi from Boston. I'm a professional Bubble developer, and in this video I will walk you through how to use the Bubbles plugin, the Sliderbar menu, that allows you to use the same option sets menu that we created in the previous video. I'll leave the link down in the description below so you can check out that previous video. But the goal here is to use the Sliderbar menu using the dynamic value of the option sets and present that into the mobile menu. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the first thing we need to do is to download a plugin from Bubble, and that is called Slidebar menu, and that's created by Bubble. So we're just going to go ahead and install that. And the purpose for the Slidebar menu is, of course, to use this in a mobile view, or if you're creating a mobile app, then that's where you would use, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a mobile view. You can use this even in the desktop if you want to hide the left panel or whatever the menu you may have created. You could use that to toggle things around. So let's go ahead and place that into a header that we created previously. That's in our reusable element. And so the goal here is to kind of place that somewhere here in replacement of this icon. So the goal is to replace this with this icon when the screen size falls below, let's just say 440 pixels. And then that's where the mobile menu option will show up. So let's go ahead and drop that sidebar menu. Now the way I have this laid out is using the container alignment, that space between, and that's why the FX University is coming in the center, which is fine, because what we probably want to do is we probably want to place this on the left side. That's industry's best practice from the UI UX standpoint, and perhaps we can hide this. So why don't we go ahead and set this layout to be center. I believe we added a right pixel margin on this one, so we're going to add left 20 so they're placed centered. That's probably too big for a mobile view, so perhaps I'm going to change this to 35 times 35, and let's go ahead and change its color to white, and then also the background color of that, we're just going to use this blue. The menu font color can remain white on this. Option hover color, let's try to pick darker blue, and let's see how that looks. All right, so now that we have that in place, now this is where you're going to enter the dynamic value of the option sets. Now the plugin has a limitation in terms of you can't just drop a dynamic value of the option sets. For an example, if I just type in repeating group menu options, and then if you just put list of options, it's not going to take it unless you define what number, right? So you can just say item number 1, and item number 1's display, and so that's your first item. So what I like to do is, and again, that's only going to show the first item from the option sets, and of course we want to show all the options. Now let's go back to that option sets to see how many items we have. So we have menu options that has 4 individual options for the menu, and let's see, that's what we have used. Yep. So what I would do is I would just copy the expression, paste that again. That's not what we want. Let me go ahead and change that back. All right, insert the dynamic value, paste. There we go, and we need to make sure that this has space in between, and that's perhaps what we did. There we go. Okay, so now it's on the second row, and then I'm just going to go and change this to number 2. Same thing I'm going to do here. I'm going to insert that, enter, and then another one. Okay, let me go back. And then paste. You gotta love this, right? Copy and paste. That's the power of Bubble. And let's go ahead and I forgot to remove the space in between, so I'll try to remove the space. There it is. They're all removed. So, and then we of course have to change the values. here. So let's go ahead and change this to 3 or 4. And there we go. So now that we have all the option sets displayed here, let's see how it functions. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this. So of course it's right now showing it, and there it is. Here are the options. Okay, now let's go ahead and set the conditions that's going to allow us to only display this menu options once it hits certain width of the page. So by default, I do want this to be, well, we of course wants to collapse when hidden so that it doesn't take up that space. But by default on the page load, we want to basically hide that. And then we can set the condition saying that when the page width, when current page width is less than, let's just say 440 pixel, I just picked a random number, then this element is visible. And then we do a reverse condition on this one. I just copied and pasted that. We don't want this to be visible if it's less, right? So if we're showing the other one, we don't want to show this one. So let's go ahead and give this a try again. I'm just going to pull up an inspect element from the Chrome, and this is at 459 pixels. That's what it's still showing. But the moment we go below, there it is. See? As we go below 440, the other one shows up. And this is the behavior of it. So this is how you can use a same dynamic value. And the reason you want to use that is because down the line, if you want to change the menu options, then you can just do it directly. This is basically, I would call a global setting. And this is where you go and make change. So instead of log out, you just want to call it sign out, right? And then that sign out will now reflect across the board. Okay, I know that doesn't get refresh in the inspect element, and so of course that's going to get replaced here, as well as when we pull up a mobile menu, it's also showing it over here, as you can see. All right, so with that being said, oh, and there's one more caveat that you probably have to keep in mind. Given a fact we have manually programmed those, when I say manually programmed, we're basically adding each display number and putting those conditions within the slider bar menu, right? So by default on this focus group, we're using a repeating group, and because we're using a repeating group, if you add a new option, let's just call it new option, it will automatically gets displayed here because we're using repeating group. So let's see how that's going to look. But on the slider bar menu, you have to add that option manually. So there we go. So here it shows up automatically, but then if you do go back and test this out into the mobile menu, it's not going to show up, right? Because we have not defined the fifth display. So at that point, you just have to go in here, copy the expression, and then let's just go ahead and paste that, and then change that to item number 5. And that's the only caveat, that you got to go manually add that. Now, there are ways that you can create a similar slider bar menu using a floating group and put a repeating group so that it can remain dynamic and you don't have to make that manual programming in that, right? So I hope this video helps. Please do leave a comment down below, and I will be recording another video by the end of this week. And please let me know if there is a specific subject or topic you would like me to cover in my next video, and I'll do my best. All right, thank you.